So tell us a little bit more about what are the sort of, if for want of a better word, disciplines of that make up car culture.
Oh, there's so much. I mean, to try and put a label on all of them will probably be the most difficult thing to do. But you never really one or the other because you grow into every phase. So like generally, the entry is always the guy that either wants to race the car, and then he starts with like probably the most banger that he can afford, or if dad got deep pockets, then it goes the other way. But they generally start kind of with either spinning, because if the dad's spinning, that's an easy entry. Or they start with the showy stuff where they got their first car, maybe it's on HP. So now he doesn't want to drive the car hard, so the car's polished, mag wheels, that kind of vibe. And that's always the chick puller.
Yes.
So, you know, the main objective of the guy is girls first.
I remember there was a homie that I think he had a VR6 and he literally had like panty dropper on his back window and he still got chicks. Like,
there's guys driving around with the Instagram handle on the cars. For more info, ladies.
That's wild.
Yeah, they're all about wild. That. Drifting and circuit racing and more structured drag racing comes to the guys that are a little bit more serious, and they're now going into what they want to call like competitive sides of it.
And is that maybe, when you say more serious, is that maybe because there's kind of not only money but also like more at risk? Like it becomes, so you have to, for example, invest in the safety side. It's not just you can you know the culture is such, we go fast before we learn how to stop. So the first thing that the motor gets made faster, the brakes is the last thing to upgrade. You know, it's every part of this industry is as you can afford it. Right.
No matter how much money you got, you know, like you know the saying, you got to crawl before you walk. That we don't necessarily subscribe to that. It's how much we can afford. If you got the money for a big motor, you can buy the big motor. If you got the money for the biggest rims, you're gonna buy the biggest rims. Like the consequence comes after. We about that gratification, and that's speed does that same thing to you. You chase the speed,
right,
and then you chase other stuff, and you chase panties. It's always about chasing,
right? But okay, so what is, for example, you mentioned spinning and you mentioned drifting. So two very same but different. What is the difference here for people who are completely clueless to cars? I see a guy spinning his tires. He's drifting. But then people go like, no, but that's different from spinning. So I'm probably going to get flack from this because a lot of this is... It's okay. This is for me. It's for people who don't know. So, you know,
so this is a wide open conversation. But generally, like my interpretation of it is that spinning is very expressive.
Right.
Spinning is a very creative form of a motorsport that was literally grown in South Africa.
Exactly.
It's indigenous to South Africa and it's now spreading to the rest of the world. So there's a lot of guys, when you'll see videos in the US of guys spinning Mustangs and guys in Australia spinning big rotary motors. The culture of spinning in South Africa, really, like there's varying stories of it. Like for us as Cape Town kids, we believe it started at Indiana and Pavilion. That was where the guys used to come and they're parking off, and inevitably they would show off.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Cars tuned, cars sound like he doesn't want to drag, so he'll do a burnout or he'll go crazy, he'll throw a couple of donuts. And then Pavilion became a bit more of a spinning thing than drag racing. So the guys used to come there just to spin. And there was local heroes.
Yeah,
in Joburg. In Joburg, the culture is very different. Like they believe it started when, particularly the guys used to steal the box BM, the E30, the Kushesh. And it was a sign of disrespect. So they used to steal it because it was an expensive car. And they used to come to the township and spin and entertain the crowd. Because it was a light, nimble rear-wheel drive.
Right.
So even amongst the people in South Africa, there's varying stories. The Durban guys might believe they started it. The Kimberley guys might believe they started it. But for us as Cape Town, we know historically it was Indiana and Pavilion.
Exactly.
Where drifting came in, drifting again was from the streets of Japan.
Right.
So because Japan's an island, it doesn't have a lot of straight roads.
Right.
That was off the grid to the government. So they used to do what's called toga or mountain runs. Because the mountains are windy, they had to find a way to not lose speed.
Right.
And then by throwing the car into a slide, you wouldn't have to brake as hard to break the car down to slow. That became competitive, and then eventually it turned into a sport. So again, it's motorsport in its entirety and how the culture diverted.
And then where would something like Gymkhana fit into that? Is that a combination of both?
So Gymkhana is a spin-off of rallying.
Okay.
So you know, like you get rally stages. So Gymkhana was always regarded as like a stage.
Okay.
So the rally drivers would do maybe a gravel course or a tar course or a track course. Gymkhana would be like a parking lot course. So when they'd come off a grid, they'd run into an obstacle, and it was always more entertaining because it was smaller and the proximity was tight, and you could see how good a driver could navigate, well, not navigate necessarily.
But could control the car.
Yeah. And then Gymkhana in its entirety became a sport again, because now it was the fact that they could have a entertaining style sport in a auditorium style situation where you can see the start and finish.
And that's essentially where someone like Ken Block,
Ken Block, Peter Solberg, those guys that just took the sport to a whole new level with their level of skill. But Ken Block, with his partnership with the energy drink brand and with the shoe brand, turned it into like a marketable $1 billion entity. Just making it cool, because at that time the internet needed content. He put something on the internet that just grew views like wildfire.
Yeah. Interesting.
And then we took all these cultures and we kind of threw it into one, and now we created something called, we never created it, but the world created something called the Drift Corner.
Right.
Which is taking a stage of a Gymkhana and only having front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive cars in it, taking the front-wheel drives out, and then saying, let's put elements of drifting into a Gymkhana and try and create this thing that is now a lot more thrilling. It's adding smoke. Because Gymkhana is all about being neat and tidy.
Yes.
Drifting's about being wild and loud and abrasive. And we throw them in and we say, okay, let's be wild, loud and abrasive and neat and tidy. It's like the guy with a cool haircut and the thick beard.
Right.
It's blending that line.
Yeah. Okay. That makes perfect sense.